No matter how hard we try, there is nothing as unpredictable as life. We make goals, form plans, devise strategies and backups, but things never turn out the way we intend. Troubles arise, difficulties come, and no one ever seems to have an ultimate answer to all of life's problems. All we can do is try the best we can and deal with the consequences those choices bring us. As we get older, the problems change and often seem to grow. Life becomes busy, hectic, and ever more complex. But when we look back, our new perspective gives us the strength and knowledge to push through. The flow of time is always cruel. Its speed seems different for each person, but no one can change it. A thing that doesn't change with time is a memory of younger days. Time passes, people move. Like a river's flow, it never ends. A childish mind will turn to noble ambition, a feeling in the heart that becomes even stronger over time. That passion will blossom into a righteous power, and through it, you will know which way to go. Shortly after Link's Awakening was released, Nintendo announced a new endeavor called Project Reality, a brand new programming system that would create increased memory and greater processing power for less money. The new technology would also provide a boost in graphic capabilities and the eventual progression to Nintendo's first true three-dimensional platform. In 1996, the system was ready for release as the Nintendo 64. With the freedom and challenges 3D graphics had to offer, the N64 was able to define and redefine entire genres of gaming, bringing most of their beloved franchises to a whole new realm of possibilities, and creating several new franchises along the way. Then, in November of 1998, the world was finally given the Legend of Zelda adventure they had been craving, subtitled Ocarina of Time. That name is the first truly descriptive subtitle in the series, but neither the title nor the title sequence reveal anything about what's in store. Sure, it all looks amazing, but there's nothing really there but a horse and a rider you can only sort of see. The same vagueness is found in your name entry, as there's no longer a picture of your character. But then, after a short intro from the Deku Tree, a nightmare hurls at you both the graphics and emotion this game has to offer. A fear storm above you, a girl whisked away on a fleeing horse, and a villainous man in black armor confronting you. It's with that feeling of dread that the Deku Tree sends his fairy messenger to retrieve you. After a fairy's view of the Kokiri Forest and an introduction to your guide, you take control and experience firsthand this new world. At least, it's new to you, but it isn't new to your character. The relationships you already have with the other Kokiri, particularly Saria and Mido, allow for a smooth introduction to the world that you are now a part of, which, combined with helpful signs and a required exploration of the forest, give you a crash course in how to interact with your new 3D environment. A major question in bringing Zelda and other titles to a three-dimensional world was how the game would be viewed. The top-down perspective in previous games allowed players to take in an entire room at once and easily assess the enemies and puzzles presented. On the other hand, the side view from the Adventure of Link made it possible to properly view height and focus on handling difficult opponents. In a three-dimensional world, it would be possible to do both, but being able to properly view attackers could easily make it difficult to analyze puzzles, and vice versa. To solve this dilemma, the programmers designed what would be known as Z-targeting, or L-targeting in later versions. In general, your environment is completely free to your view, letting you take in the expansive world and notice anything that you might be passing by. Then, when a person, enemy, or other item of interest comes into range, you're given the option of focusing directly at that item, permitting specific interaction in combat. The system reflects how we take in our world naturally, and is therefore easy to use. Additionally, the information your fairy companion provides allows you to effectively analyze and deal with particular enemies and obstacles. Once you have the necessary equipment, all of your newly acquired skills are put to the test as you attempt to break the curse placed upon the Deku Tree. It's a fusion of the new and the familiar as you climb walls, grab ledges, and jump cliffs while still solving puzzles, opening chests, and defeating enemies. Then, as you enter the boss's chamber, you're treated to exactly the kind of terrifying monsters this game has in store for you. But with your mastered skills, it isn't long before the Queen Goma is taken down. As you teleport triumphantly out of the dungeon, you feel ready to take on whatever the real challenge is. And then you find out that the Deku Tree was doomed to die before you even started. That kind of disappointment is enough to make you question your ability to make a difference. But you're bolstered by the importance of your mission, the threat of an evil man, and the prize he seeks, the legendary Triforce created by the goddesses. The story detailing the Golden Triangle's creation imparts such a feeling of wonder that you are willing to face any danger to obtain it. With that determination, a spiritual stone from the Deku Tree, and an Ocarina from Saria, you step out of the training grounds of your home and into the big, wide world. And man, is it huge! The more you travel around Hyrule, the more you realize that you are way too small for this place. It's obvious that the lands beyond your forest were made for adults, and you're going to have to work extra hard to complete your mission. Or just get anywhere for that matter. That feeling doesn't get any better as you move on to battle fire-breathing dinosaurs in Death Mountain, and then forced to explore the digestive tract of a giant fish. Heck, just getting across Hyrule Field for the first time can tell you just how unprepared you... Oh no! Your youth isn't lost on the people around you either. While many are just happy to have someone to talk to, it's not uncommon to find someone who treats you with disinterest, condescension, even anger. Several think of you as a cute kid with too much free time on his hands, but others just see you as a joke. It's not unusual to be the lone hero with little outside help, but this is just annoying. Only 2 people are truly on your side, and, thankfully, they're the ones that matter. After sneaking through the castle gardens, you come upon a girl about your age. As soon as she recognizes your fairy, she dives into a prophetic dream she had about you dispelling a dark force. As nice as it is to know you finally have someone who wants to help, it's even better to learn that she is the Princess Zelda. From her, you learn how to gain access to the Triforce, and get a first glimpse at your opposition. You are then introduced to Impa, who teaches you your first of many Ocarina songs, and sends you on your way to Kakariko. From there, you head up Death Mountain to meet the rock-eating Gorons, only to find that Ganondorf has already been there, sealing off the Gorons' food source in an attempt to extort them of their sacred stone. When you then head to Zora's domain, Ganondorf has again beaten you there, infecting their patron deity with the worst and most disgusting parasite imaginable. It is frustrating to have to play catch-up this whole time, but it's really not that surprising. Ganondorf has had a lot more time to plan and prepare, each situation laid out to grant him the spiritual stones. Actually, it's pretty satisfying to know that you've been able to handle each crisis Ganondorf has left in his wake, gaining friends, respect, and a fiancé? With all of the success and 3 stones in your pocket, you head back to rendezvous with Zelda. It seems as if all is going according to plan. But you know in your gut that your journey isn't over yet. As if on cue, a storm brews over Hyrule Castle, and an eerily familiar scene begins to play before you. A white horse with Zelda and Impa upon it rush into the night as Zelda throws something into the moat. Before you have a chance to retrieve it, another presence comes to your attention. You turn around and come face to face with Ganondorf. In almost any other game, This would be a prime opportunity to have your first battle with the main villain. Something to set up the rivalry between good and evil. You get an idea of how the villain fights, and the villain learns to be wary of your skills. You ready yourself for battle, and Ganondorf responds by taking you down without a thought. Not exactly the grandest moment of your heroic career, but as Ganondorf rides off after Zelda, you know that you still have the upper hand. Grabbing the fabled Ocarina of Time Zelda left behind, you head to the Temple of Time and the gateway to the Sacred Realm. In those solemn halls, you open the Door of Time, and once again draw forth the legendary Master Sword. And then, everything falls apart. The Master Sword, sensing your inexperience and age, traps your body in the Sacred Realm and holds you until you are able to wield it. Then, right behind you, Ganondorf steps out and uses the door you opened to enter the Sacred Realm and claim the Triforce for himself. While you remain immobile and unaware, Ganondorf returns to Hyrule and begins conquering the land. When you next open your eyes, 7 years have passed, and while you have age and can now wield the Master Sword, you now have to deal with not a usurper, but a veritable king of evil. The more you think about it, the more the situation upsets you. Because it's all your fault. All of the keys needed to claim the Triforce were, for all intents and purposes, out of Ganondorf's reach. The sacred stones were each in the possession of someone who, for one reason or another, were not going to give them up just because someone demanded it. And all Ganondorf did was try a drawn-out killing process. The same thing can be said of the Ocarina of Time, and he even tried a direct approach by attacking the castle. Then there's the Song of Time, which we don't know if Ganondorf had learned, as only a few knew it. But most importantly, the Master Sword. The Master Sword! The sword no evil being can touch, and in fact only you could draw. You gathered all of the requirements and literally opened the doors for Ganondorf to just walk through and take what he wanted. Now, it's not just your destiny to defeat Ganondorf, it's also your responsibility. And you have a lot of work to do. As soon as you step outside, the inferno over Death Mountain and the destroyed castle town show just how bad Ganondorf's rule has been. Subsequent visits to both Kakariko and Lon Lon Ranch show that people have still survived, but have suffered drastic changes in location, life, and age. While some have profited from the change, many are facing extreme circumstances that often become worse the further you explore. Yet, nothing Ganondorf could do can compare to the ravages of 7 years. Returning to the Kokiri Forest, you find not just monsters, but a world that is untouched by time. All of your childhood friends haven't aged a day, and none of them recognize you in your older body. Nothing you can do can convince them of who you are, and even hearing from a repentant Mido nearly breaks your heart. The more you travel, the more you realize how alone you are in this world. The Kokiri and nearly every Hylian don't recognize you. Both the Gorons and the Zora are imprisoned, and the ones who you knew best all turn out to be the very sages you're looking for, and must therefore stay behind as you venture forth. While each do give you a medallion as both a power boost and a memento, it is you, and you alone, who can turn the tide. And that is a very lonely task. Thankfully, you aren't entirely on your own. Fairy fountains can still be found in Hyrule, with the added blessings of the great fairies increasing your attack, magic, and defense. People are still willing to interact with you and help in their limited ways by teaching you their songs and trading items with you, eventually leading to the massive Bigoron sword. Recurring guides in the forms of the great owl Kapora Gabora as a child, and the mysterious Sheik as an adult, always help point you in the right direction. And, most importantly, you have a constant companion that gets more ridicule than any other character in the Zelda franchise.
Hello! Look! Hey! Listen!
Taken at face value, Navi the fairy sounds like an overbearing 3-year-old, always interrupting you at the most inopportune moments and repeating the exact same things over and over again. Those who play this game repeatedly are consistently frustrated at the unskippable explanations of the most mundane tasks. How often we forget what it was like to pick this game up for the first time. Faced with obstacles and mechanics that not just the players, but also the developers had never faced before, it was essential to have a guide teach us how to handle climbing, swimming, pushing blocks, even an action as simple as opening a door, which had never been done before in Zelda. Additionally, Navi is your ever-present guide, giving you directions if you're lost, and floating around items of interest that you may very easily miss. The major problem Navi has is the fact that we don't see enough of her as a character. Subsequent companions have a great deal more personality, and we interact with them more frequently and directly. We learn about their lives and why they have a vested interest in your success beyond just saving the world. By reacting to them specifically, we grow to care for them. If Navi had been given that same opportunity, it would mean a lot more to us when she finally takes her leave. Yet, like her or hate her, Navi is still your only compatriot as you make your way through Hyrule's temples. The structures are still immense, and each environment is uniquely themed to their respective elements, offering their own style to the puzzles you solve. Some are a bit more notorious than others, but each offers a different challenge and a fierce boss to defeat. But with your grown-up body, the relative scale of the temples and opponents seem to finally fit into place. Yet, it still seems like something's missing. Every time you open the items screen, the tools that were your bread and butter as a kid are just sitting there, waiting to be used. And every now and then, an event or conversation reminds you of an age long gone. And you wonder what could have been. Then, a return to the Temple of Time presents you with a rare opportunity. The Ocarina of Time is so named because it actually has the power, along with the Master Sword, to take you back to the past. With your full arsenal and both ages at your disposal, the entirety of Hyrule is open to you, and with the knowledge of what is to come, you can manipulate events to work in your favor. When all the sages are awakened, a call comes to return to the Temple of Time. There, Sheik meets with you once again and reveals a new level to the Triforce's nature. While we learned in A Link to the Past that the Sacred Realm reflects the hearts of those who enter it, it turns out that the Triforce itself reacts to the user, weighing the balance between the forces of power, wisdom, and courage. Without that balance, the Triforce splits, leaving only one piece in the hands of the one who obtained it, while the other two are hidden away. Thus, the holders of the pieces are revealed. Yourself and Sheik, who finally reveals herself as the Princess Zelda. All the parts of the plan together, you're again ready to make things right. And once again, everything falls apart. While it had been hinted that Ganondorf had been keeping a close watch on you, it was quickly forgotten. And again, you pay the price. Zelda is captured, and you are left with no choice but to meet Ganondorf on his terms. Ganon's castle is a reminder of the power Ganondorf has gained in the last 7 years, with the puzzles and barriers inside a tribute to each dungeon you conquered. Yet, just as Ganondorf obtained great power, there has still been light, as your friends lend you their aid and support with each fallen barrier, and the Great Fairy gives you her final gift. As you head up the keep, however, it's just you, Navi, and the ever-growing organ music as you take down the final guards and finally come face to face with the King of Evil. The ensuing battle is tense, and with your Z targeting disabled, it's surprisingly difficult despite the simplicity. But eventually, Ganondorf gasps his last and falls. But instead of a triumphant farewell, the panic continues as the entire castle falls around you while you and Zelda make your escape. As the dust settles, you're again set to leave, but a noise from the rubble catches your attention. Then the fires blaze, and Ganondorf bursts from the ruins, using the Triforce of Power to unleash his full fury in what is arguably the greatest final boss of all time. No taunting, no Master Sword, and no descriptors. Just Ganon. The battle is incredibly fierce. Constantly shrouded in shadow, you never get a clear look at your opponent. Just like your entire relationship with the Evil King, Ganon forces you to battle defensively, dodging massive sword strikes and attacking from behind, all the while wondering if you're even making a difference, until you're finally able to retrieve the Master Sword. After an intense struggle, Ganon finally falls, and with sword shining, you drive it clean to the hilt as the sages open the void and send the demon through. It's only then, when the problems are finally solved, that you and Zelda can reflect on how your actions set these events into motion. Zelda, as a princess concerned about the threats she could see so clearly, and you, as the one chosen for the quest, could only see what was in front of you, and tried your best to succeed. Neither could see what was to come, and thus could only do what you thought was best. That's how it is for all of us. No one can see the effects time may have, and so we make do. Just because you're chosen to become a hero doesn't necessarily mean that all will go according to plan. Setbacks occur. Obstacles stand in the way. And sometimes your actions actually cause the very thing you're trying to prevent. Such problems are frequent and sometimes necessary in order to truly prove your worth. Then, when those problems are finally solved, you can step back and really appreciate what you went through and how it helped yourself and everyone around you. As you watch the celebration while the credits roll, you get that same feeling of accomplishment that you did in A Link to the Past, but in a way that's a little deeper. Sure, there are various people that you met along the way, but seeing the Gorons and the Zora restored, Malon and Epona reunited, and most importantly, the sages returned home, reminds you that you weren't just saving people, you were saving your friends. The joy of seeing your comrades alive, well, and happy is worth all the pain and effort you went through. That emotional connection is what drives home the impact Ocarina of Time has had on the series, and is what, as an 11-year-old boy, no older than Link was at the start of his journey, led me to find a home in Hyrule. And it's that same impact, along with the gameplay, that has led critics and players alike to name Ocarina of Time as the greatest game ever created. It's an emotional tie that has literally linked us with a world beyond our own. While we often moan in frustration at the Water Temple, or complain about the endless explanations Navi and Kapora give us, there is no denying what this game has done for all of us who dare to become heroes. As much as A Link to the Past established the primary gameplay and plot, Ocarina of Time created the Hyrule that we know and love today, crafting the history, the differing races, and the characters that would truly endear us to this world and teach us what it means to become a part of it. And it goes beyond the graphics, beyond the new items and magical abilities, beyond the plethora of music and Ocarina songs. Ocarina of Time taught us what it's like to not just be a hero, but what it's like to actually grow into your role. And, in a way, what it's like to grow up. You face the problems presented, help wherever you can, and learn to deal with unexpected pitfalls and difficulties. And, through it all, you learn to never give up until the very end, where light is always found. As Zelda sends you back to your own time, she isn't sending back the same person she left as a child. For the hero of time is so named because time is not his master. And as Navi bids you farewell, you know that there is much that you can do. For you have seen what could be, and what needs to be changed. You may not know everything that may happen, but you know that there are people to save, things to set right, and another song yet to be played by the Ocarina of Time. Thanks everyone for joining me in Ocarina of Time. There is so much that can be said about this game. Comment your favorite moments and bosses. Be sure to spread the word. Share this video with others so they can see what Zelda has to offer. If you'd like to see my adventure through this game, with a little help from my own princess, you can find the playlist in the description below. And if you haven't seen my tributes for the other Zelda games, that playlist is down there as well. Join me next time as our adventures in time continue, as we journey to the land of Termina in The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. See you next time.